Hi, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, and I want to be the first to welcome you here to our webinar. You will see today that most of what we're going to be going through today is a whole lot of what we actually teach in our training class. Now, obviously, that training class takes an entire week, but literally what we're going to do today is hit some of the main highlights of some of the things that's going to help you, at least help you make the decision on what you need to do next with us here at ABS. So obviously today we're going to be looking at the strategies of marketing. Folks, most of this you can apply in just about any business that you might be looking in. So sit back, take some notes this afternoon. We look forward to hearing from you on for some of the questions. So we would love to see what questions that you may have today. Folks, the heart of our business is our medical billing platform. As you can see here, iClaim in the right-hand corner, EMRX right here in the middle, and the different platforms this can all be under, whether it's an iPad, an iPhone, an Android tablet, whatever it might be, you can certainly be able to run this particular platform. We'll actually get into a little discussion of this afternoon, just a little, but not a whole lot. But if you've got specific questions, at least you know where the question box is today, and you can ask your questions throughout the presentation. Introduce you to our founder and our CEO, and then my co-host this afternoon, which is Patrick Phillips. Patrick and his wife started this company just about a little over 24 years ago. And not so long ago, he also was voted as to be the chairman of the board of the MERMA Association. That's the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. So he sits on the board there. He is also a member of the editorial board for the Billing and Coding magazine here, as you can see there. And he's written some books. And what I'm getting to you folks here are going to be the first group of people who are actually going to see a premiere of a new book that he and Dr. Vicki Rackner are working on. So Patrick, I'm just going to ask you to join me here.
This book is brand new. It's still being written. In fact, we think we're going to be actually releasing it here probably in the latter part of June. And as you can see, it's called 9 Ways That Physicians in Private Practice Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers.
Right.
And believe me, they do. And the reason we wrote this, Dr. Rackner is a retired general surgeon, and she is on the board of MERMA as well. And she basically suggested to me, look, why don't we write a book that your licensees can actually use to market to the doctors that has a topic that the doctors will be interested in? And I said, well, what would that be? And she says, money. Anybody interested in that? So anyway, that's how it came about. So yeah, that's coming out soon. That's another one that our licensees, by the way, will be able to private label. They'll be able to brand it with their own name right there on the cover and on the inside. So,
well, I tell you what, we're going to show
the thriving book a little bit later, so I'll save all that for that.
So we're going to kind of go through that. Patrick, I think the topic that we're going to do today is really at the heart of really any entrepreneur, any business owner, any strategist that's trying to build their business. So that you and I just decided, hey, let's just talk about marketing. Let's talk about the strategies of marketing that over the 24 years that we've pretty much perfected in helping our licensees get started here.
Well, and Eric, this is important. You said this earlier, that this probably applies to just about every business out there. For folks that are on here and don't really know what we do, we basically sell a license to people, a system of actually doing billing for doctors and collecting money from other sources. So it all has to do with their revenue management. Right. But that doesn't mean that these particular types of marketing ideas that we're going to talk to you about today doesn't apply to other businesses as well. So keep an open mind. This might be the right business for you. And if it's not, you might pick up something here very valuable about running whatever type of business it is that you want. I tell Eric, I joke with people about the fact that they can get into our business if they want to. If they want to later on, it's their business. They could sell it if they want to and walk away. And then maybe they've made enough money to open up that McDonald's, and work with teenagers 80 hours a week.
Or just retire and just do whatever else they want to do. So who knows what they can, or keep the business and just keep it going and have your family members get into this and do all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, we've had lots of folks that have got in the business knowing that they had adult kids that they were going to teach how to do the business. Now they got them running the business and just sending them the check.
That's the best way to go.
That's the best way to do it.
Let me remind you today that in the question box where you put in your name and your city where you are, that's a way to communicate back to Patrick and me. Obviously, you were to communicate to me, and so we want to hear from you. So today we're going to go over about 5 different points here. The one that we're going to take the longest on, Patrick, is getting the appointment, because I think that's the greatest fear with everybody, is to get that first appointment.
It is. Yes, that's what I hear most. And of course, that's not unusual. Folks, think about it. Any business that you start, unless they guarantee in writing, make sure it's in writing, that they're going to give you clients. I don't know of anybody who does that, but if they did, make sure it's in writing. Because that's the hardest part of starting any business, Eric, getting clients and keeping the clients coming. You might be a terrific landscaper, but you can only do so much landscaping, and then you got to go find another landscaping job, right? And so you got to balance that when you own your own business. You're always looking for the next client. Now, the nice thing about our business is I'm working with a licensee who's been with us for 9 years, Eric. This young lady just recently got divorced, and so she's really trying to build her business up really, really big.
Right.
And she said, Patrick, I'm just kind of struggling at it because when I first started, I just did what you told me to do, got a doctor. He referred another doctor, and now she's got like 7 or 8 doctors, but she wants to grow even more beyond that.
Right.
And so the great thing about it is that we have got this down to a system, and it just works. If people work the system, it works.
You bet. So today, again, the majority of our time we're going to spend on how to actually get that first appointment. Now, once you've got the appointment, you're also going to see some other strategies of what you're going to do next, which is offer practice analysis. Part of that is going to be setting up a live demo. We're going to show you and teach you today a little bit about how we're going to teach you to prepare pricing and proposals, and then obviously implement everything into the practice. So, Patrick, I say we just get started right off the bat with getting that first appointment. So here's just
Eric. Sorry, I just wanted to say that for folks who are on the webinar, maybe it's their first time, or if they just don't know you and I, they may not realize that we give away a lot in these.
Yes.
I mean, we expose everything that we do, folks. We don't have anything to hide, and so you're going to get some of our proprietary information here today. If you're wondering how do you market to doctors, this is going to tell you, because we're going to just lay open the book, so to speak, and tell you exactly what we teach our licensees. There's nothing secretive about it on our part, because we just believe that you can't share too much information with people. You guys are looking at getting into a business. You deserve to know everything we can possibly share with you. And that's why we open it up to questions. You can use that question box where you tapped in earlier and just ask us anything you want to during this hour webinar here.
You bet. So, Patrick, these are the main, I would say, some of the main 8 points that we can see right here. But we all obviously know that Cynthia, who is our trainer, she actually goes into more of these different areas of getting that first appointment. And we're going to kind of take each one of these individually. So let's just first talk about what it means to connect with the community. I think that's the biggest thing. And first of all, I guess in line with American Business Systems, you spend a lot of times of helping other entrepreneurs market their business. Connecting with the community has got to be one of the first ones you've got to do.
Yeah, and I had heard of business networking, before I started ABS, but I never really experienced what it's like to be out there networking with other business people in your area. For example, Eric is showing he just did a search there for chambers of commerce. Well, they're all over the country. Every small town even has one. I think Dallas-Fort Worth area has like a dozen. And the nice thing about these is that when you go to these meetings with other business people, those business people, some of them, do business with doctors or know people who are doctors. And it's just a wonderful way to connect and let somebody who already knows the doctor introduce you to the doctor. See? So, folks, I don't know about other businesses, but this is not one where you just have to go door to door knocking, trying to get business. What you're going to do is have people who know doctors in your community introduce you to the doctors. And then, of course, if you do a good job, as I mentioned earlier, the previous licensee, your business will just grow. It just automatically will grow from referrals.
Patrick, looking at all these different chambers, I got to tell you a story, and I haven't even told this to you. But in our little community, we're in a little community, as you know, just over 10,000 people here, and we've got a great chamber of commerce right where we are. And I got to tell you the story is the reason I tell you the story is because just because you get up a brick and mortar building somewhere in your community doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. Not long ago, we had a brand new hamburger place that opened up in our little community, and the guy just came in here, but he never joined the chamber. And guess what? Within 6 months, his entire restaurant collapsed. I mean, he didn't get any business. And
wow.
But then I've seen other folks who have little sandwich shops that are part of the Chamber of Commerce, and you got to stand in line to get into those places. So yeah. there is some connectivity when people know within your community what you're doing. We cannot understress this or overstress this as talking about just getting in business with your local Chamber of Commerce.
Hey, I've got a challenge for the listeners. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you folks want to see how big we're talking here, go out to a website called meetup.com. Meetup, yes. Just like it sounds, MEETUP, meetup.com. And in there somewhere on that page, there'll be a search. And you want to search, of course, in your city or your state, at least, and just put in the words business networking group, and see how many meetups there are. Now, that's just one site. During our training, we give you a half a dozen different places that you can go to find these groups. But folks, there are literally dozens of them. You wouldn't know about them unless you were looking for them, of course. Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there must be 60 or 70 different groups, Eric, that meet for different purposes. But the main reason most of them get together is to network and to share information about potential clients with one another. It's a wonderful way to build a business. And Eric, this is the #1 way, by the way, that our licensees go out and get clients. So we're telling people right here, one of the things that we teach you. Now, there are some secrets to doing it the right way. Believe me, you can do it the wrong way. Eric mentioned earlier, I got into the networking business. I actually set up a networking group in Dallas, and we had like 700 members, all paying us about $800 a year. But the point was that is not what this is all about. This is all about you going to meetings absolutely free and using some of the tools that Eric's showing here. We have a flip chart there on the left, which is kind of old-fashioned, but we use that in our training to teach from. But then we also have it electronically, as you can see on the right there, so it fits on an iPad or a Windows tablet. And you can use this to connect with people in your community, even people you know. We call it your warm market, and just share with them what we do. So folks, this is about, it's about 30 pages of information about what we do, and we teach exactly to people that are our friends and relatives or our business partners. We teach them what we do and say at the end, hey, if you know any doctors that needs any of these things, let me know.
I've noticed some of our licensees who have done nothing more but they go like to a meetup group or to some of these other networking groups, or even again to a Chamber of Commerce. And once people get to know what you're doing, you may be even asked to do a small little presentation. And this is an excellent way to do that. Now imagine that you've just been asked by your president of your local Chamber of Commerce or whoever's running one of those meetup groups, and they said, hey, John or Robert or whoever you may be, can you share a little bit about can you do it in 5 or 10 minutes? And we've got it down for you. So imagine that you can just kind of flip through or throw it up on a screen. That a lot of these buildings have projectors that you can put this on, and man, now you got people coming to you afterwards going, gosh, I know a doctor that could be able to, well, then great, can you introduce me to them? And all of a sudden, boom, as you like to call it, Patrick, you get past the glass right through.
That's the key right there. Yeah. Yep. Folks, we came up with that, Eric came up with that phrase a little while back. If we can somehow teach people how to get past the glass, there's always that bulletproof glass, right, in the doctor's office that keeps the germs out, I guess. I don't know what that's for. But the point is that if we can get past that, inside, right amongst the people that work there in that office, you see what a huge advantage that is than somebody just walking off the street, a salesman with a whole briefcase.
You bet. Patrick, why don't you talk about now in their communities, they have these all the time called business after hours, networking at its best. Gosh.
In fact, you'll probably find some of those on that meetup.com that I mentioned earlier, because these are the kinds of people. Look, a lot of people are building businesses that are outside their work hours. So 9 to 5, maybe you got a job, right? But Eric, at least half of our licensees that come through, maybe more than that, are building this part-time, right? They already have a full-time job. So how do you build it part-time? Folks, we're giving you the answer right here now. We go into it in much more detail, of course, in our workshop, but I'm just letting you know already that one of the things we teach you to do is to go out after hours. There are business groups who get together. Sometimes it's just to have a drink or just stand around and eat some, what do they call them, horses, duvers. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. You can orderers. Oh, hey, I'm from Texas. We call them horse duvers.
Yeah, there you go. but you know, Patrick, we were actually and again, our little community, we were invited to this through an email networking thing that happened, and it was a local CPA who was serving pizzas out after 5 o'clock, and everybody in the community was there. Again, you talk about, it was great to get to know your neighbors. It was good to get to know other people, and obviously at that point, people ask, "What do you do?" And it's just like, well, this is what we do, and they were
perfect.
amazed. Yeah. So and especially with a CPA, guess what, knows a doctor.
Yeah, they are doing the books for some doctors probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's another thing that we teach, of course, is how to find the people in these groups, these business networking groups, that you could think of as a power partner, somebody who markets to doctors just like you do, but they don't, of course, have the services that you have. They sell cotton balls or rubber gloves or whatever.
You bet. Now, why don't you talk about this one, Patrick, because I think you kind of actually found this out and helped a few licensees with dealing with classified ads. What do you mean by classified ads?
Every time we mention this, of course, people are probably thinking, wait a minute, are there even any newspapers left that have classified ads in them? And of course, we're not talking about print classified ads. There are places, though, on the internet that doctors and their staff can place ads looking for, wait for it, people to do their billing.
Right.
Now, they're looking for people to come in the office and do it. But we've come up with a way to respond to those ads with a what we call as a resume. It's a working resume, which means you can come and work for them, but you can also show them the advantages, price-wise and otherwise, of you just them outsourcing their billing. So it's a wonderful method. I just simplified it there, and we covered it. We take an hour to cover it there in the class, but believe me, it's very effective, and licensees have gotten clients from using this method.
You bet. Then we talk about building credibility. Now, we know that you've got this new book coming out. It hasn't been released just yet, but we've got the new Thriving Medical Practice, which you've been using. It's been being taught in our training class how to actually utilize this particular book. But go ahead and share a little bit about, because again, you were the dream child about this, of how this all came about.
Well, this was the first book that Dr. Vicki Ragnar and I, see there, our names are at the bottom there, came up with, that we wanted to market to doctors because it's called The New Thriving Medical Practice. Now get this, here's the subtitle: How to Get Off the Hamster Wheel, Work Smarter, Not Harder, Generate More Revenue, and Enjoy Greater Career Satisfaction in the Post-Obamacare Era. Yeah, listen, this appeals to doctors. Dr. Vicki Ragnar is a public speaker, a trainer. She travels all over the country, and there are groups who pay her to come and talk on this subject because the doctors are interested in finding out, how do I stay in private practice and thrive? That's what they want to do. They want to make the kind of money that they thought they could make as a private practice that they're not making now. And this is one of those books. This is the first one that we actually let people put their name on there. See that? Forward by Susan Smith. Now that designation there after Susan's name is Certified Medical Revenue Manager. And that's what the MIRMA organization certifies you once you've gone through our training. But you'll have your name right on the cover of the book. Yes, we've written a forward. It's just a little 2-page, yeah, you've seen them, forwards, right? And this one has in the bottom, I think you got a picture of this even there, don't you? Showing the inside of it, baby.
You bet.
But anyway, we let you put your name and contact information inside the book. So it's a wonderful marketing tool because you're leaving it with the doctor. We show you how to market in certain ways so that it really stands out and the doctor can glance and read at it. Oh, and there's one of our licensees who we recently did the book for, Christie Done. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can, some might be able to see right down there. Her name's right down there, Christie Done.
Yeah. Yeah, she was so proud of it when she got it. She sent me this picture of her holding the book up to her. But anyway, the point is, folks, it's a wonderful marketing tool. You are going to just be blown away. Our license fee, Eric, should be doubled just because we have this book. This makes the difference between you being a credible person when you're talking to a doctor and somebody that doesn't have the credibility, because your name is in the front cover of a book that a doctor wrote. That's why it's so valuable.
Yeah, and imagine, I'm going to go back over here just to this particular screen here, this screenshot, that you're saying that licensees will be able to do this with this particular book as well?
That's right. Yep. So now we'll have 2 different books. Hey, if we had a dozen books, Eric, it would be ideal because then you could send a book every month to a doctor. We're going to show you how to get these books into the hands of the doctor themselves. And here's another book that can be personalized as well. This is called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. This is Dr. Ratner's latest book, and besides the one we're writing right now, and it just came out. And as you can see, she even says in this book, physicians in private practice walk away from an average of 30% of their income. Now, Eric, can anybody afford to walk away from 30% of their income in any business and plan on staying in business? No, they'll be out of business soon. So she says outsourcing your medical billing could bring claim rejection rates to as low as 2 to 5%. And as you know, Eric, ours is lower than 2% even.
You bet.
She says she's writing this book to doctors here, and she says this may be the fastest and easiest way to increase your cash flow. The doctors love Dr. Ratner when she speaks, and they love the books because they're always like this one. Think about it. If you were a doctor, you've heard that doctors can be rich, right? And yet you probably are not doing what you think you should be doing with all your money, and things have gone down. They're getting paid less, right, Eric? The insurance companies, Medicare, they just don't pay what they used to. So a doctor thinks, I'm going to go see what this is all about because I know that is a myth. I'm not rich, and yet people think I am. So they love this.
Well, one other thing I'm going to do real quickly here, Patrick, and I thought it would be just interesting for people to see this. I'm going to put this up on our screen here, but people are going to go, well, gosh, who is Dr. Vicki Ratner, right? And so I thought I'd just go ahead and put this up here. I just did a little Google search on her, and so if the doctors go, well, who is this Dr. Vicki Ratner? They'll be able to see this information on Dr. Ratner. So there's where the credibility, because doesn't everybody do that? Go Google, who's this author?
Yeah, they're going to find out. That's right.
Yep. So I thought that was just interesting that we could throw that up there for everybody to see this afternoon. And
it adds huge credibility, folks, to you. Remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Yeah. And so when they see your name on the front cover with a doctor, folks, you actually become partners with Dr. Ratner. You can actually say, I partner with a medical doctor who's written a book, and I wrote the foreword to it. Now, we've actually got a standard foreword that's pretty generic and so forth, but you could write your own if you want to. We'll personalize it for you specifically if you've got a good foreword.
You bet.
So the point is, guys, we're giving you a tool right here that can just open doors wide open for the doctor because, again, it builds your credibility.
And remember, we are working on strategies of getting the appointment. That's the big thing here, Patrick, that we're dealing with today. I mean, like you said, we're kind of giving away some of the greatest trade secrets that we actually have. But obviously, without being a licensee, you don't have the information just yet. but you're going to get that. That's part of what you're getting here at ABS is all of this for you. Another way of strategy of getting the appointment is getting the prospects to come to you and setting up a trade show booth.
I love trade shows, Eric, and especially conventions that have something to do with the medical field. Yep. Although we've had licensees do these trade shows, you see those booths in those pictures, folks? We actually have those already made for you. And as you can see, there's no company name on it. It's very generic. And you add your own company name and logo to other stuff there that you're giving away in the booth. And it's a wonderful way because licensees have done these trade shows, Eric, at, home and garden shows, auto shows. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be a medical show because remember, doctors are human beings too. They and their spouses go to these types of shows. And we did one in Dallas several years back. We haven't done this since then, but at the time we thought it was a good idea to go look for prospective licensees like yourselves, people like yourselves watching this webinar. And so we put up a booth in a women's expo over in Dallas. It was like a 2-day expo. We put up a booth similar to this. So I think ours just had at the top medical billing because we were looking for people who were interested in getting into medical billing and doing our business. And we had 5 doctors leave their business card with us there at the booth and say, hey, I need somebody to do my medical billing. That's not why we were there because we don't do medical billing. ABS is not in the medical billing business. We teach you how to do it, and we work with licensees who train you and who coach you who are actual licensees doing the business, but we don't. So. Oh, here's another way. Great.
And I want to pause here real quickly. You can see not one time so far of strategies of getting the appointment have we told you that you're going to go cold call doctors. Not one.
No. Now, there is a way to build your list, though, from the networking that you'll be taught how to do. You'll actually be building your list. Think of your list as the prospective clients that might be interested in what you have somewhere down the line, right? So we're going to teach you how to put that into a software program that keeps all of the data about each person that you meet or whose business cards you get. And then we're going to show you how to automatically do some follow-up for those people using an online system that we have called AutoCard. Eric's actually showing you some of the pre-designed cards that our graphic department designed that you can then personalize with your own company name and logo. And you can actually change any part of the card that you want on the back there. And these cards will go out automatically to your prospects. You can also market this system. Eric, this is the great part, is that this is not only good for the licensees to use to build their clients, but they can also market this to doctors. We have a follow-up campaign for patients that the doctors can engage with you to actually handle for them that keeps the patients reminded to come back in. And it's a wonderful marketing tool for the doctors too.
And we know that this works because Patrick, you and I tested this out. We put a doctor that we were doing some R&D on, some research and development on. And we saw the doctor one time. We put him on this, and about 6-8 weeks later, they're calling us up and saying the doctor would like to see you now. So
because they were getting these cards, with our company name. We set up a little fake company name just to kind of do some R&D, and sure enough, doctors were calling us up saying, "Hey, I want to know more about this." So we know it works.
And then all of the marketing material that we have here, which is obviously some of the postcards that we had here, but as the licensees going out, they should have these all the time with them, of kind of saying all the different services that we have.
And these can be customized. We move things around there on these to be able to put your name, company name, contact information, your logo, and so forth. So you can really personalize these. You get over 2,000 of these in your kit. And then there's a coupon, I think, for another 2,000. So you get a lot of marketing material. Believe me, you probably won't be reordering marketing material from us.
Well, that's good, because Sandra just asked, is there a separate fee for the licensees to use? And no, that's all included for what you have. So this is everything that you're getting, everything that you're seeing here so far is included in the whole business package.
Yes, folks, you can think of it this way. This is a one-time, lifetime, all-inclusive licensing fee. We don't nickel and dime you to death After you come through our training, in fact, during the training, we're not going to try to sell you not one extra thing.
Right.
When you get through with the training, you get back, we don't sell you anything. You'll never pay to ABS, our company, another penny. It's
Right.
all inclusive, including ongoing lifetime support and training. So it's just an amazing, it's amazing business opportunity for sure. This is what I love, Eric, because there's people who don't have the time, or they don't have the talent, or don't feel like they do. They just don't want to do any marketing. Well, fine. There's people in your area called sales reps, people who, that's why they got into sales. They love to go out and sell things and tell people about new services and products. And believe me, you can help any salesperson in your area to get into your business with you, and they can build a business within your business because they're going to get some residual income on each one of the claims that go out, month by month. You can do it any way you want to, but most of our licensees will set it up where they pay them a part of the setup fee, which the doctor pays, of course, and then some each month as the billing's done. But you're not out any money up front. You don't have to put out anything. These are commission-only sales reps.
Before we go to the next slide, which is going to be the last slide in the strategies of getting the appointment, let me remind everybody that we actually have a handout of the entire slide deck today. So if you've been busy trying to take notes and going, oh, I wish they'd have gone back or not gone so quickly, if you'll look over in your control panel underneath handouts, you'll see that we've got a handout. So just click that as we're kind of going through the rest of the presentation. Click that out. There's a PDF of it. You'll have everything right in front of you. So there you go. All right, Patrick, last little slide here about strategies of getting the appointment. You and I were talking about this, and you thought maybe if you were going out there and doing this would be one of the first things you would be doing.
Well, I did, but that was 25 years ago when Lynn and I were actually doing the medical billing. We started it out of our home, and one of the things I came up with was the idea. Actually, I learned it from a friend of mine who was a pharmaceutical rep that told me about the fact that he said, dude, all you got to do is just get on their calendar. I said, what do you mean? He said, don't try to go in and set an appointment or do this or that. All you need to do is bring them lunch. They have a calendar, and they'll pencil you in that you're going to bring them lunch. Now, it depends on how many people are in the office. If it was that picture that you see, that's what, 7, 8 people, you might have to spend, $75, $100. That may be your cost of marketing to this doctor's group. But guess what? It gets you past the glass, right?
Yep.
And they have sales reps who literally come in, 2 or 3 of them at least a week that bring the lunch to everybody there in the office. It could be sandwiches, it could be pizza, and it's a wonderful way to sit down with them while they're eating and just basically tell them what you do. Now, we have that little slideshow thing, the flip chart that we told you about that you could use for this, but this is the ideal way to get in there and hold what we call an educational event. You're actually educating them on some aspect of the medical field, and of course, you can tell them what you do as well as the part of it. As long as it's not just a sales pitch for what you do, but you're giving them some valuable information. Well, guess what? We've actually got all the slide decks, or a bunch of them, already created for you with topics that you can use to present these educational events. So there's really nothing to it.
Yeah, imagine you could bring in donuts, coffee, and then say, hey, before I leave, this book on the new thriving medical practice, can you get this to the doctor?
Yeah, you just leave it with them.
Yep, that may be the only thing that you end up doing.
Now people listening to this, Eric, might feel like, oh, well, I'm not a public speaker. Well, folks, you're not standing up making a presentation. The lady on the right there is probably giving that to a group of doctors in a hospital setting where they have the projector and the screen and so forth. And yes, she could be a presentation of a group of doctors if you're leaning that way. If not, on the left side, you'll just be sitting there at the table with them. Right. Now, you don't want to eat with them. You'll have a mouthful of sandwich, but basically, you're there with the people, and look, you've gotten past the glass. Right. That's all you're trying to do. And once you're in, right? You're now, they know you, they're friends with you, you're not a stranger. And if you do the follow-up like we show you to do, you'll get a demo and be able to do the practice analysis, which we're going to talk about too.
So yeah, put like Patrick says, just put them on that automated marketing campaign, and then voila, there you go. All right, so Patrick, we have almost 40 minutes into this webinar so far, and we talked about getting the appointment. And I told everybody at the beginning, that's what we're going to spend the majority of our time. But we got 4 more points to make, And so we're going to have to get through these pretty quickly. But again, I think we spent the time on what most people are worried and concerned about. How am I going to get that appointment? So hopefully those that are on the call today certainly kind of got at least some ideas of what we're going to teach you and get you to be very proficient in before you leave at the end of that training week.
Yep.
So now we're going to look into practice analysis. So let's kind of just start stepping through this, and because I know that you got to get going here pretty soon, but I want to try to get as much as your time into all of this. So let's talk about the practice analysis.
Well, I love this, Eric, because there's no other company out there that does what we do. We don't try to go in and sell anything. Folks, you can't sell anything to a doctor. They don't want to buy. What they do want to do, though, is bring in more money and keep more of their money. And that's what you can help with. Well, one way you can figure out whether you can help a particular practice, because you may not be able to handle some of them, help some of them, is with what we call our practice analysis. Now, it's actually expanded to 3 pages now. And so we've put a lot of thought into the questions that you should be asking the doctor, or sometimes you're with the office manager. And it's things like, is your current system server-based or web-based? And you explain the differences and what that means and why our web-based is much more, advantageous. How many claims do you do a month here in the office? How many do you submit to the insurance companies? What are you currently spending on your billing? Those are the kinds of things in this questionnaire. There's probably 50 questions in there. Right. Some of them you'll learn you could skip. Others you might want to add some that's not there, so you can change that however you want to.
Right. And so once you've got that practice analysis, now you have a tool in which you can now communicate directly to those doctors when you do get that time with those doctors, and then get to a point where you can actually set up a live demo. Now, we actually talk about, Patrick, in the training class of how to offer that practice analysis as a free practice analysis. So, this is just doing an analysis on the doctor, and you can say, look, once I've got that to you, we're actually going to show you in the how to prepare a pricing and proposal in that section, what you're going to do with the information from the practice analysis. But what leads up to next is that you could give a free live demo of the software as well.
That's right. We can do this electronically, just like we're doing this webinar today, but it's live with your individual prospective doctor client. That's right. We have a staff of people that's all they do, is do these demos all day long for doctors. Now, the importance to that is that you don't have to know everything about our system. The doctors want to know how leading edge technology it is, and does it do this and does it do that? Well, guess what? Our demo staffers know the answers to those questions. So any questions that's asked, we're going to answer that for you. Now, you can be on these as well, either watching with the doctor's staff there in their own office or even at home, just like you're doing on this webinar today. So with the technology we have available nowadays, guys, we show this to doctors and they are blown away. Eric knows, he's done some of these demos for some of our licensees, and
You bet. And it is so great to be able to see. And then what we're going to show you right now is really the easeability of how to even register your doctor. So once you're a licensee, you're going to have a login access to our licensee support site. You'll go under where it says iClaim, and underneath iClaim, you'll see request a free demo and consultation. So you put your information in there, all about everything about the practice. Now remember, you've already done a practice analysis. So you're going to get that information to us, and we're going to assist you with the rest of the information while we do the demo. And that's, you talk about an impact on that doctor's office. And what's good about this, Patrick, is this can happen with people who are just leaving training. Now, you've said many times that we can't teach everything in 5 days. That's why you get the support from ABS in these extra parts of these, what we would call the extra ancillary marketing services that we have here for ABS, for our licensees.
Yeah, and these demos, by the way, the reason the doctors want to see these, of course, they do want to see the latest technology, but they want to be able to ask questions too. And you don't have to worry about that because our staff actually ask all the questions. Now, we'll teach you to position our staff as your staff. You understand that by joining our network, these people all work for you as well as ABS. So it makes you and positions you as having a much larger company and staff behind you. I mean, you can literally tell them that we have over 100 people that support our doctors, behind the scenes, and we do. So the great thing is, guys, that they want to see this live for themselves, and I think Eric has some screenshots he's going to show you there of what they'll see.
Oh yeah. And while I'm putting this up, Patrick, you can look at Kent's question here, and I'll let you answer that. But here are a couple of things that you're show you here on setting up a live demo. We're actually going to help you show the iClaim platform. We're also going to show you the doctors the EMRX platform. So we're going to leave the doctor and their staff. And remember, I love to have that doctor's front office manager on these demos as well, because at that point I can build this relationship very fast with the office manager. I like to have that interaction with that office manager because they become our best allies once we shut down the live demo, because that's going to be the person in the doctor's ear after we hang up with them.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Eric, I see a question here that I'm not sure. I don't think you've addressed it there, unless I fell asleep while you were talking, which I do that a lot. Is there? This is from Sandra. She says, "Is there a separate fee for the licensees to use?" Not sure what she was asking that in relationship to.
I did answer that one earlier, because she was asking for a separate fee to use the marketing material. So we talked about that earlier. And then Armel, I did answer that one, because I sent a text to everybody that they can find the handout or the PDF handout in the handout section. So I wanted you to get Kent's couple of questions there before we move on to the next one.
By the way, Sandra did type in, after that, I just didn't read it, to use the prospect lead software. No, Sandra, we do have that lead software, that what we call a customer relationship management software. There's a free version of that you can use. Somewhere down the line, if you have extra users and so forth, you have to pay a little bit, but it's $10 a month or something like that. Okay, and Kent's asking, so ABS will always be able to help with live demos. Well, yes. Let me explain why, Ken. That's a great question, because it really leads to, why would you do this after we become licensees? We've already paid you the fee, and you said that there's no fees after that. Well, that's because we make money on the actual claims processing. So our technology partners share some profits behind the scenes with us. It doesn't come from you or the doctor. It's just a rebate that they give to ABS. And so we're as interested in you getting new clients as you are, maybe more so.
You bet. And then
there's plenty of staff. Yes. That's why you register, though, online. You give us 2 different days and 2 different times that the doctor might be available. And then it's rare that we don't have somebody that can do a demo for any doctor anytime.
You bet. Yeah, even on some emergency call outs there. All right, so we got a couple more here. Now we're going to talk about prepared pricing and proposals. And this is where it gets very interesting, because remember earlier, you were going to go through this practice analysis, and then right below there you see a practice revenue report, and you can see another shot of it right there. But as you can see here, we've got all of this in a Word document that you can put your logo up at the top. You can see example, licensee, company logo, and name, and then dear prospect, everything's written out for you that you have, and you can put your footer down there at the bottom. But what's interesting is what you collected on that practice analysis. And Patrick, this is the cream of the crop here. Once we do the practice analysis, we do the demonstration, now this is actually presented to the doctor. You want to kind of take us through that?
Yeah, as a part of your proposal, this practice revenue report is probably the most important part of it, because the doctor's probably going to do just what you're doing, which is to glance at the very bottom line down there. Eric's zooming in a little bit there so you can see that. And as you can see, for this particular doctor's practice, we said that we could increase their revenue by 58%, or another $122,000 per year. That's nothing to sneeze at, Eric. So, folks, if you're wondering in your mind, why would doctors outsource their billing, there's one reason right there. We can show them how we can increase their revenue by way more, because that even includes the money that they're going to pay you. That's after they've paid you 6, 7, 8%, whatever it is that you charge. I think this one may be based on a 7%. But anyway, the point is, they're still going to pocket. And Eric, if I were a doctor and I saw 122,000, I'd say, okay, let's write that off to BS, right? Let's half that. Let's say I can only make another 60,000 a year. Hey, that's better than a kick in the rear or a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, right?
Of course. Yeah, and so imagine that because I've done so many of the demos myself, and Kent, you've asked, is there enough staff? Where any overflow actually goes to us here, and we normally take care of it. And there many times I've been able to do that. And what's great is that when the doctor finally sees everything, and they ask me at the time of the demo, so Eric, what are you guys going to charge me to do the billing? Well, that's where I turn that back over to you as a licensee, because I'll say to the doctor, they've got a report that they want to go over with you that's going to include the pricing, but it's also going to show you really how much more we can be able to collect. That's whenever you present this. Once the doctor sees that, then the doctor really wants to know, well, gosh, really, what can we do to move forward?
It's kind of like this. Let's say you're a business person and you have to spend money on advertising, right, to get clients. And so you're spending $100,000 a year on advertising. All right. Now that sounds like a lot of money. I mean, that is a lot of money. That's a lot. It's so much, 10,000 a month, less than that. Anyway, the point is, it's a lot. Now, what if I told you though that I would guarantee that I could bring you $500,000 worth of new business?
Right.
Now, did the advertising cost you anything?
Right.
No, it actually made you money. That's the way doctors look at this when you present this the right way. The way we teach you to do it, they're going to look at this and go, this does all the selling for me. I mean, why would a doctor at least not try you when you can show this kind of savings?
You bet.
An increase in revenue. Yeah, folks, this is a no-brainer. Believe me. If you can't sell popsicles in the Sahara Desert, then you might not be able to sell this, but I bet you can.
And again, it's with our help. We're not going to leave you alone. We're here to help you make sure your proposals are proper. And obviously, we've got everything here that you're going to need to kind of go through, including any service agreements that you're going to need to have between you and the provider, statements of confidentiality, business agreements, associates agreements. So there's so many things that we have already packaged together that, again, that's included in the $26,990 here for everything you have. Patrick, we've got one more thing here, and then let's see if we can't get this wrapped up, because I know we're kind of coming at the top of the hour, and you've got some other things to get to here shortly. But, obviously we can teach the doctor's office, because, again, as you're kind of going through this whole part of how do I get this appointment and how do I get all these strategies of marketing, well, one of them is obviously the training. So this is really what we want to share real quickly, is that we have everything there for not only for you as a licensee, but also for the practice to learn through tutorials for each of the sections here, as you can kind of see right on our website here.
Yeah, folks, we have specific support people that is their job, is that once you have a client, they're going to walk you through that process, and the doctor's office and the staff. They're going to hold your hand. They're going to use the technology that we're using today to share the screen with you and show you exactly step by step how to do every step of this. This is the easiest part of the business. The hardest part is getting the client. And we've already shown you today that we know what we're doing when it comes to getting clients. That's why licensees, if they follow our system, they will be successful. We have no doubt about that. That's why we offer a money-back guarantee as well.
You bet. And so folks, you can see here there's an implementation planner, training syllabus, live webinars that they're going to go through, and this is for each of your clients, whether it's the front office, whether it's your billing staff, whether it's the clinical staff, whether it's just the provider themselves. We've got everything laid out here for you so that when you get through with training, you even have this as a knowledge to utilize this as part of your marketing, because a lot of doctors or a lot of the staff members are going to say, okay, maybe I like what you're saying, but the big thing that can break down the continued closing of the deal, if you want to say that, is how are we going to implement this? How are we going to be educated on this? This is what we have there. That's all, again, it's a full package for you.
And the great thing about being a part of our network, folks, is because once you are a part of our network, we have other licensees. They may be in a completely different part of the country, but they,
Right.
and we actually engage with them as coaches. We pay them, in other words, for their time to help you get your business up and running and started. So it doesn't get any better than that. You're being taught by somebody who's actually in the business that you're in.
That's
and has
right.
been successful. Eric, I do have to run. Can I just talk about the money back guarantee myself first?
Absolutely.
And you might stick it up there on the screen. Huh?
You go right ahead. You bet.
Yeah, in fact, you can put this back up when I get through. Can you just pause the screen just for a second, stop showing? I just want to talk directly to everybody that's on the webinar today, folks. And let me tell you why we came up with what we call our 100% unconditional money back guarantee. I know you find that hard to believe, but we did that a few years back. And my staff thought I was crazy when I said this. I said, folks, we're going to let people come to this training workshop. And if it's everything that we say that it is, they'll want to stay, right? They said, yeah, okay. And I said, and if they don't think it's everything that we say it is, what should they be able to do? And, everybody kind of hem-hawed around and hesitated. I said, it's very simple. Nobody's going to pay me money. I'm not keeping anybody's money who doesn't think that they got their money's worth. If they go through this week's training and at the end of the week, they, for any reason, they don't like anything, like Eric's hair is parted on the wrong side of his head. Give me my money back. I think about your hair part all the time, Eric. So I'm just wondering if other people are doing that. But the point is, folks, it does not matter why. There's no weasel words in this guarantee. It means exactly what it says. If for any reason you don't think this is the right business for you, just ask for your money back. Now, that's happened a handful of times in the 25 years we've been in business. So I want you to know it does happen, but it's very rare. And it's usually some real weird off-the-wall thing, like something happened back at their house and the house burned down and they need the money for a new house. Or, there's some other good reason why they need a refund on their money. Okay, Eric, got to run. Thank you for putting this together today.
You're welcome.
Very good.
I'm going to make sure my hair is parted at the right so that they won't worry about that before they get to trading.
You won't have to worry about your hair parting soon, buddy. It's going to be long. It's going to be history.
Thank you, Patrick. All righty. Thanks so much. Well, let's get back to here just real quickly, and we'll kind of do a quick wrap up. As you know here, we try to love to have as much fun and everything we can on these webinars because I don't know about you. I've been on some webinars. They're just about as boring as all get out. So you can tell here, Patrick, I love to have a good time. But give you enough information and education here on these webinars that helps you make the right decisions. So the question, one of the last questions here that I've got coming up is when is our next class? And absolutely, we're going to kind of talk about that here real quickly. So let me just go ahead and put this screen up here. Our next class is June the 11th through the 15th. Now, that's just, like I said, about 3.5 weeks away. That class is starting to fill up, and we've had some very large classes here recently. But I promise you, we won't try to run out of too much space that we can't get you in one of these training classes. So we would love to be able to see what we can do to help you. And we'll talk about when the next training class is. So if you can't make this one, always you can get back with the person that you're working with as your business coach here at ABS. Just get back with them, maybe talk about if this date doesn't work, maybe some of the other dates that could actually be helpful for you. Again, if you're looking to get started here and you want to maybe even come by and visit with us, our address is 5751 Kroger Drive. We're here in Fort Worth, Texas. We would love to be able to meet with you and communicate with you one-on-one if you'd like. One of the things I wanted to share with you right before we close out here is that we've made some mentions of live demonstrations of the software. Now, you've heard us talk, Patrick and I talk about doing these live demonstrations for you, for your doctors. However, we know the importance of, as all the information that Patrick and I are trying to give you on these webinars, we're also offering to everybody that's on the webinar, or that's anybody that's actually looking into American Business Systems, and let us do a demonstration of the software for you personally. Now, this is what this is going to do. It's really going to help you understand what we do in order to help you get a client once you get them to that stage of the live training. It's another way for you to really understand the business about what you're going to do differently than any other medical billing company out there. So don't hesitate of asking your business coach that you're working with to say, hey, I would like to see this demonstration. It takes anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, maybe up to an hour, but no more than an hour of your time. So I'm just asking you to invest in you and take a little bit more time as you're doing your due diligence, and just request a live demo for yourself that you can be able to take a look at that, really dive into this so you kind of know what you're getting into yourself.